good morning, good afternoon, or maybe I should even say good evening. My name is Paul Bars. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join with me for this week's video update. You know, I'd like to talk to you about the most important element that is on the sales page on your sales website. Assuming, of course, you're watching this because you're interested in learning more about how to actually sell your products online. Yeah? Hands up for that one? You know, I know when I was first getting started, it took me 6 months just to get my web page, not a site, but just a page that I had created onto the actual internet. I didn't even know how to do that. Well, since that time, I've learned a few hints and tips, but I've also learned that everyone, when they come online, pretty much the same. Well, here's not an eye-opener for you, but a couple of hints and tips that will help you along the way. And of course, if you'd like further information, drop by paulbars.com at the moment, where I'm running my series, Your First Month Master Plan, as a free online podcast. So tell me, what do you think is the most important part of the entire sales page? When a visitor comes to your website, the thing that should grab their attention, reel them in, and force them to stay there and read more. What part of the sales copy does that? Yes, that's right. It is the headline. A well-written headline can literally impact your sales figures 5-fold, 10-fold. I've heard in some studies as much as 26 times more sales than a previous poorly performing headline. Now, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, Paul, we know all this. Well, I've got to ask you the question. If you know all this, why don't you put in the time and effort to make sure that your headlines pull those kinds of results? And today I thought I'd give you a few hints, a few tips, a few tools that you can use to simply do that. I mean, imagine it. Somebody comes to your website. Wouldn't it just be fantastic to be able to write, from your point of view, a power-packed, profit-pulling headline that literally grabs their attention, reels them in, and produces income every 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 5 or minimum 1 out of 10 visitors to your web page? You're probably thinking, 1 out of 10, Paul, gee, I'd like to be able to do better than that. Well, believe me, in the world of direct marketing, direct sales, that's actually pretty good. But I know people who have got as high, crack this, 1 in 3 when they're selling to a warm market. And it doesn't matter. All of these things can be put aside if, here's the key, I'll say it again, the headline doesn't do its job. Now, why is that? Let's look at the psychology very, very quickly. Why is it that the headline is the most important thing? Why is it with the newspapers? You've got this big, bold headline. And people are going, well, yeah, I'd like to read that. That's it. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I'd like to read that. So rule number 1, when you're writing your headline for your sales copy page, you absolutely have to write it to the person, your ideal prospective customer. Your prospect is the word that we like to use. Yeah, you don't write it to everybody because not everyone's going to be interested. But as you're writing, I'd like you to have in mind a picture in your head here of that ideal person, the one that you just know is going to buy, and you write it for them the first time. And then the second time, well, you write it for them also, and then the third time you write it for them as well. Matter of fact, the 4th time, the 5th time, the 6th time, you also rewrite it just for them and keep all of these things separate on different pieces of paper. And, of course, in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, matter of fact, the headline is so important, I'd like to suggest to you that as an exercise, the next time that you go out and create a new web page for sales, for direct selling, that you write 50 different headlines. Oh my goodness, Paul, I can't possibly do that. 50 headlines? No, you're right. If you're thinking like that, you're right. You can't do it. Just turn this thing off right now. Forget about it. You just like mediocrity. Well, I'm giving you a challenge today. If you want to increase your sales tenfold from where they were last time with your last promotion on your next web page, you will go and write out 50 of them. Okay? Yes, I know it's going to take a little bit of time, but here's the key. Here's how it gets much, much easier. Because the next thing that you're going to do, part of the little exercise, I want you to start to build what's called a swipe file. Now, for myself, I just have a Word document. I have one for headlines, I have one for bullet points, I have one for testimonials, I have one for guarantees, I have one for all these different areas of the actual sales page. But this one's just for headlines. And every time I come across a new web page that I know, or for example, if I know it's a well-performing web page because I've seen the stats, I've seen the results, I'll copy and paste, click paste the actual headline into my swipe file. And over time, I've built up a database of literally hundreds of different headlines. Now, we call this thing sales copy, not because we copy and paste and plagiarize people's ideas, but we copy the structure. We copy the format. We copy the principles of the headline. And so this becomes a whole lot easier for you when you begin to take over it in such a way of saying, okay, well, I can copy this headline, read the words, how to create power-packed, profit-pulling headlines that grab your reader's attention in 2 minutes or less. Okay, there's a headline. So we would take that, and let's say we want to apply it to goldfish. How to create profit-packed goldfish. No, it doesn't work. You can't just copy it word for word. How to keep your goldfish alive while impressing your friends with your aquarium. Can you see the principles of how to make that work? I'm using the formula. And the thing is, there are so many different formulas. I can't give them all to you here now. There are some extensive, brilliant courses that focus just on that. But the easiest way I'm suggesting to you today is that you go about and you actually do the sales copy and paste and build a swipe file of headlines. And so you've got your 50 together. Let's assume you've done that now. What do you do next? Well, very simply, the next thing that you do is you print them all out on separate pieces of paper and you sit down with a group of friends and you say, well, which ones? Help me pick the top six. The top six. Once you get those top six, then I suggest that you do maybe some split testing. This is a great way to determine which headline is going to pull the best. Go and run some AdSense or some pay-per-click ads just with the headline. See which one gets the most amount of clicks. It'll tell you which one's going to perform the best, won't it? Once you've done that, then you've got your headline. Now, some people, and I personally have done this before, I quite like it, I'll take the top three and do them in a little pre-headline, main headline, and then sub-headline after that. Bang, bang, bang. Because when you're writing to your ideal prospect, and you put 50% of your time actually into choosing and deciding which is the best headline, you're going to increase your chances of making the sale, just off the top of my head, by at least 500%. Would you like to be able to do that? Well, I'd like to suggest to you that you put in the time and effort to do it, because sales copy is the most underrated and overlooked area of web design. We think it's product, we think it's graphics, we think it's affiliates, we think it's article marketing, we think it's CPA, we think this, we think that's nothing to do with it. Because by the time they finally get to your page, don't care how many you get. It's the sales copy that does the work, and it's the headline that makes them read or want to read the sales copy. So there's a few hints and tips about how important the headline is. Remember, you can stop by at this point of time, paulbars.com. There it is down there. You can see that I'm running a podcasting series, your first month master plan, and I've just posted, I think it was number 4 and number 5 were to do with sales copy and headlines. Very, very powerful, incredible stuff. You go by and have a look at them. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.